Hey everybody,
Yeah.
so welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we have a very special guest, Ronald or Ronnie Lubega, who is right now currently in Japan. And Ronnie and I have been working on a couple different things, a few projects here and there in Uganda that he's working on, but I thought it would be really neat for me to interview him and share his experience living in Japan as a Ugandan and what that journey has been like. So I'd like to turn it over to you, Ronnie, and introduce yourself to our audience.
Okay. Hey everyone. My name is Ronnie, or I go with Ronnie as my nickname, but my full name is Luvega Ronald. I I am happy to see you or happy to meet you. Um, right now in Japan, Tokyo, it's evening. We say konbawa, and then the response it will be kombawa. When I say kombawa, you say kombawa. In my local language, Luganda, I will say osibyotia, then osibyotia. If it's nyabo, like a lady, osibyotia nyabo, and osibyotia sebo, in response to a male. And yeah, this is my first session with Evita, and I'm really excited to be around. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Ronnie. We are so happy to have you. And most times, you hear Ugandans leaving Uganda, going to the UK, maybe Germany, somewhere else in Europe, or even the US, maybe Australia. But why did you choose Japan out of all places?
Basically, I chose Japan based on my life experience, and I would call it a journey. Um, Coming from a poor background, I lost my parents when I was 2 years old due to HIV/AIDS, and when I was clocking around 12 years. I was found by an organization called Ashinaga Foundation. It's located in Japan and now also in Uganda. But at the same time, right now, supports orphans financially, and also giving education support to those of vulnerable orphans from different countries all over sub-Saharan Africa. And through that organization, I managed to come in Japan in 2001 as kind of an invitee to attend a summer camp. So I attended that summer camp for 3 years. Every year I came in Japan for just 2 weeks, kind of a vacation. And through that experience, I got really exposure, and I got to know that I wasn't the only person that I was suffering. And I met many children who were coming from different countries, for instance, from New York, who had lost their parents due to 9/11, and those from other Asian countries like Japan, China, Taiwan, others from El Salvador, Turkey, who had got orphaned due to earthquake, and others from later on from Iraq, Afghanistan. So those close encounters really gave me a chance to learn about different cultures, and also gave me a chance to see a different perspective, so that I could, when I went back to Uganda, I focused on studying hard, irrespective of the hardships that I was going through. And I decided to to focus on my education. And I had a dream that one day I would come back to Japan to acquire further education.
And did you study in Uganda?
Yes, I from primary or kindergarten, I went to Ugandan schools with the support of my elder sister. And my elder sister took me through school from nursery or kindergarten to primary 7. Then later on, I took myself to a secondary, or call it high school, a junior high school, because we're very poor. I couldn't afford tuition by then, but I just took myself to school. I didn't know what else I could do without attending school. So I attended Bishop Nanchama Memorial College in Namungona, and as my O-level, O-level education. Then later on, after junior high school, I dropped out for a year because I couldn't afford tuition and other scholarship materials. So I decided to go to my aunties who had a salon in Karere, and I asked her to help me, employ me so that I could get some finance and make myself able to go to school again, because I was tired to look at my friends continued, going to school without me, continuing, and that made me feel stressed, and I was almost losing hope. But because of my earlier journey to Japan, I had that, zeal. That I didn't want to lose that hope that in case I finish high school, I could get a chance to enter a Japanese university. That I was sure of, but I had to get through high school at least to ask for a scholarship. So by luck, I got a support from a friend, and also I also managed to add some savings. Then later on, I got myself a car parking lot that I could rent, which I used to employ some boys locally to make some money. Then I could add up on my friends' contribution to make tuition payments in time. So I took myself through high school, and after high school in 2017 and 2007, I got a scholarship to attend second best Japanese university called Waseda University in 2008. September, I passed entrance exams. Then later on, I got a scholarship from university as well, almost half tuition waiver, and also 50%. Then I had no tuition that I could pay. Yeah. Then I had to just focus on my education.
Wow, so you're very entrepreneurial. I mean, the fact that you took yourself through secondary is very commendable. A lot of people try, some don't succeed, but you have surpassed that. And you made it to Japan. I know getting there, you've been there a few times through the summer camps, going each year for 3 years. But what was the visa experience like? Was that challenging to get a visa and make yourself a part of the Japanese culture?
Yeah, the visa part, I just remember vividly that it wasn't really easy. I almost missed coming because we're supposed to come two students by then. My other colleague who was coming from almost my area had got a chance to enter into a university which is linked to American university called Christian University of Japan. And when I applied for visa, the only opportunity that I had I had support with the Ashinaga Foundation, which through which I applied a visa. But I had hardship that the photograph which was taken of me wasn't looking alike, so they were denying me visa based on that my ears were different, my face appearance was different. But
Wow.
yeah, so and maybe the past trips that I had made to Japan also helped me to count, but I really faced a tough last minute decision because I almost missed my flight. Almost missed my flight. Yeah, but it was really stressing. Yeah, it wasn't really easy. Yeah, the only thing that the people who were handling my issue, the supervisors, by then, I really tried so hard to explain to the embassy that this is the same people, the same person, irrespective of the, you know, appearance discrepancy in photo and also
Mm.
the person. Yeah, but yeah,
Wow.
lucky, luckily enough,
Yeah.
I got permitted. Yeah,
Wow.
but
That was so
it wasn't really,
close.
yeah, it wasn't really easy, but
Mhm.
thank God.
Yes. Amen. That is really good. It's a miracle
Yeah.
everything worked out. Wow. So they really scrutinized the photo like that.
Yes, I was told to like you know lean on the wall so that they could do face differentiation, but
Comparison.
the comparison but I mean you know sometimes certain things happen without you knowing how the outcome would turn out to be, and I was like, this is me, I went in a studio and took this picture, you know, so I couldn't do anything about it. But the inspector was saying, no, we cannot allow him because this is a different person.
Wow. And that is really interesting. They really do their due diligence. They make sure that it is
Yes.
you in the photographed photo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by then, when we had just applied for visas, Japanese embassy had just started working in Kampala because by the when I first traveled to Tokyo in 2001, our visas were issued in Nairobi, so
Oh,
we had to travel in Nairobi or pay the lawyer by then who was one handling the visa applications to go to Nairobi, apply for us, then come back. But then when I had the university application, they had just opened maybe 2 years or 1 year. So they were still strict on how authentic my face would be looking like. Yeah.
wow. Oh,
Yeah.
so what are you doing now in Japan?
I am now working in Ashinaga Foundation as a scholarship um, uh, advisor and also fundraiser, and at the same time student support and also a area manager for some. Okay, area manager means you are given a location in which you are in charge of, and that area has Japanese scholars who are under Ashinaga scholarship.
Okay.
So our foundation gives over 5,000 scholarships a year in Japan, and also 100 scholarships from Africa. So I am in charge of that. But this is my third year into this job. But before after graduation from my master's in Waseda University, I joined IT company, Japanese firm called the Fujitsu International, and I worked as a system engineer, specializing in network configuration and designing. So I worked there for 6 years. Then I felt that my experience was of importance or needed to be shared with my fellow, juniors who are in Ashinaga, because most, scholars lack advice from their peer, seniors, because they need a person who understands their plight and who has been through the same situation as them. Privately, I have other projects that I run as an entrepreneur.
Okay, wow. Yes, we'd love to hear about those as well. So you left
Mm.
IT to do philanthropy.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So my
Okay.
my my former colleagues called me mad. I was like, like, how do you leave a good paying job to do for a charity, organization? I was like, yeah, this is where uh, um this is what made me who I am,
Mm,
if yeah, if it wasn't this organization, I wouldn't be here. If it wasn't my seniors, friends who contributed to the welfare or to education support for orphans like me, I wouldn't acquire education. So why don't I really sacrifice, my time and my and share the skill that I have and experience.
how do you stay connected to the Ugandan culture in Tokyo in Japan?
Yeah, yeah. Fortunately, we have two, how can I say, two kinds of Ugandans. I would call them two kinds. Um, the people who are in corporate world and also those who came just to seek a living, or like, let me call it a living. Um, uh, when I came in 2008 as a student, I I didn't really have I found hard time to find many Ugandans in Tokyo, because mostly people are working. Japan is a busy country, and some may not have necessarily, good records to make them move to big cities. So I used to hang out with some guys from maybe Ghana, Cameroon, Ivory Coast, Senegal, and other, Kenya. But later on, when we increased the number of students, our student body from Uganda is over 300, people in Tokyo only, and we don't really have that problem of like communication. We always hang out. We always even I work with two Ugandans, in the same department, and as others under my supervision as students. They are students. Like, we have a lot now, and there are others who have come for work or spouse. So that the majority uh, of them, they're scholars, or they have been here as students. Then later on, they have turned into corporates. Yeah.
Wow. Oh no, thank you for enlightening us, especially those that might not know.
Mm.
Japan has a population of about 126 million
Yeah.
people, but
Yeah.
there are only 300 Ugandans in
Yeah.
Japan.
Yeah.
So
So
that is very interesting. I know most people might also be thinking, why Japan? There's a language barrier. How did you overcome the language barrier?
Yeah, why Japan? Actually, for me, I didn't have any choice because of my background that I've talked about. I had, but then by 2000, when I met Ashinaga staff, um, who had come to Uganda to research about HIV/AIDS, etc. I had no encounter. I had not encountered any other foreign person in my life. So Japanese people were the first foreigners who came to my house. And coming to Japan, it was wonderful. And later on, when I went back to Uganda, Ashinaga Foundation sent their students, or the Japanese students, to do homestays. So we had that close relationship with Japanese, and it was really natural for me to, get inspired and also say, okay, Japan is my first choice country. And one of my neighboring in my neighborhood, one girl came to Japan, and she really worked very well, and she was treated very nicely. And she used to tell me, Ronnie, study hard, you can and come and join me. So I had that kind of influence. Yeah, so that's why I say I had no other choice apart from Japan. So
Okay.
how I came over overcame the language barrier. So to tell the truth, I didn't like Japanese language at first. And I wasn't really good at linguistics. So I used to stay in dormitory, and I remember we used to have um, Japanese language classes, and even at university and also at my dormitory. But I never liked it because it was really difficult. You have to study um, like like alphabet. You have to study kanji, the Chinese characters. You have to study like hiragana. There are certain modern that's traditional Japanese. Then you study katakana. That's a language words from English to Japanese. So there are totally like four ways of writing or speaking, reading Japanese, which made it so difficult in the first place. As um, assistant manager at some exhibition company, and I didn't understand what my colleagues were saying. I struggled really, really hard. So I took seriously the classes at school, and after that, I really put in more effort and put in more effort. And also when I got into the company paid for my private tutorial classes. As a young person, I
Okay.
didn't understand the value of language. But
Mm.
as I grew up, I was like, what? In Japan, even though you don't know anything else, but as long as you speak, you're able to speak Japanese. Almost and in 100% what they are looking for in the person, 90% is Japanese. The rest of the 10% is just the skill, certification and all that.
When you're looking for work, do they make it a requirement to know Japanese, or can you still find some English speaking jobs?
Yes, the job market has evolved recently, but over the years, Japan has been really focusing on speaking Japanese. Japanese speakers, and they really require high proficiency. If you don't have almost native level Japanese efficiency, sometimes professors, and sometimes they don't really take you. But of late, some other, multinational companies are also hiring, and also Japanese companies are also hiring just English speakers. But on my turn, when I was doing job hunting, I think I was second, yeah, in my second year in on my master's. I I decided to go for Japanese traditional job hunting system. It's a 1 year process. It's where you start to attend Japanese companies seminars. They come to university to do some orientation or like promotional seminars about the company. Then you go to exhibitions where the companies come together to do exhibition about the company. You attend that, and you place in, you apply, and then you put in entry forms about yourself, like you do PR forms to talk about what you did in university. Apart from academics, what do you really do? Apart from academics, what kind of leadership skills do you have? Later on, I start to to do like interviews. Then if you pass the interviews, then they give you aptitude test, and if you pass the aptitude test, you can get an offer or not. Yeah, depending on the level of the company. And yeah, but now companies have changed. Sometimes they take you as you are, then they train you once you enter, but depending on the company. But I did typical Japanese only. Whatever I was going to do, I had to do it in Japanese.
Would you advise a Ugandan in Uganda to study Japanese?
Yes, I would advise a person to take languages, not only Japanese, but any foreign language is a plus, Right now, Makerere University offers some Japanese language classes, but even in high school, if someone has a chance to take a foreign language, it's really, really a key, because sometimes some companies hire internationally, and you don't necessarily have to come to Japan and seek a job from here. But some multinational companies, even some Japanese big companies, IT companies, are employing through online. And even though your job might be based in English, but the communication or some interpersonal communications, even some announcements within the company I've done in Japanese. So if you understand certain basics, basic communication is really important, and then later on you can upgrade from there. But it's really important at least to have basic conversation. It will take Japanese for proficiency test, so that at least you have a certificate that you can present to somebody and say, yeah, I am on level 1. Maybe I am level 5, but I am aiming at level 1, because level 1 is the highest level in Japanese. So if you have one level, you also aim to upgrade to another level. Yeah.
Okay, that's important.
Yes.
So as when we speak about the language, we see how important it is to be multilingual, and preparing our journeys. And even if we're still in Uganda, it doesn't hurt to know another language, and have that skill. Can you also tell
Yeah.
us about the things you've noticed when it comes to culture?
Yes.
What are some of the differences between the Ugandan culture and the
Mm.
Japanese culture?
The differences is Japanese people always do everything, almost everything together, communal. If it is sweeping, if it's cleaning, everyone has to clean. Everyone, you don't have necessarily to tell a person, please sweep there. If you find a Japanese person finds something and takes it, he never throw it anywhere. Compared to Uganda, when you are not the person who threw something, you don't pick it up. Sometimes it's And if you are not told, sometimes you don't do anything, like that. So those are the, differences. And in similarities, I would say Japan has that hier- uh, hierarchical culture habits like Uganda, where we pay respect to elders, the superior, and we are also polite. And Japanese people are so polite. Um, we take family as so important. Also, Japanese people take family first. In Uganda, we have the oldest person, the oldest son or daughter, takes over the responsibility of the family in case of the death of the father or the family members, and I mean the parents. We have that in Uganda as well. Um, uh, and sometimes that person stays. Even when you're marrying, at least they have to first come and do some kind of introduction. Yeah, in Uganda we do that as well. So there are certain, similarities. Um, what I know about them is they they're honest. They don't take anything for free. Um, even though you you give a kid something, he will never eat it. Even though you're a friend to his father or mother, he will never. And they're so private, you know, to an outsider. But once you get into their circle, they can be open, you know. Yeah. For us who in Africa, we are so open in the first beginning. That's the difference. Maybe Japanese are so closed because of their past. After the World War, Japan closed the borders to foreign intervention. So many people still have that kind of stigma or that kind of habit of not be open until you become a friend. Yeah. Yeah, I think those, yeah, hardworking, like time, time, they are really good at time management, and also they take responsibility even though someone, it's not their fault. Apology in Japan is the easiest thing. As a person, is like so normal, you know, so normal. But for us, sometimes you have to really genuinely believe that this is my mistake. But in Japan, even though it's your own mistake, I apologize as if it's my mistake. Differences and similarities. Yeah, that's how I could compare.
Oh, and so I'm wondering, what are some misconceptions about Japanese people? Maybe things that we've heard of, maybe things you were surprised to see different from what you were expecting.
Yeah. Okay. What I would say is the misconceptions or the what I had um, or when I had just arrived in Japan as a student. Um, Japanese people don't like foreigners. That's what I had. Sometimes I would see it. Japan closed its borders in 50s, and it took almost 40 years to open up. Um, it, it didn't have that, connection with the outside world. And secondly, many people fear or that if what if I start a conversation and I cannot communicate in English? They and also they have that boundary, like outside insider. So if I'm not really close to you, I don't I don't want to cause trouble to you. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so they always want harmony. So sometimes it also bothers them that I didn't do this thing for this somebody, later on.
Ah,
I saw this girl, but I couldn't, I couldn't help. They feel it inside, but
mm.
they don't know how to, so they decide to run off. Yes. So when I was still a student, I had just come in Japan. I was looking for my way to school because the station which I was transferring from at uh, it's it's a huge station, and I couldn't really figure out my next platform. But anyway, I always used to ask people, how do you connect this from this line to this line? I say, I don't know English. So, no English, no English. No, sorry. So, so I was like, yeah, after living with them, yeah, I understood. I really understood that they fear to make a mistake. You know,
Mm,
yeah, and also they cannot express themselves how can I say, freely. Say, okay, if you go this side, you turn. If you reach this point, turn right, and so sometimes that's really a big conversation in English. And for them, maybe they say, okay, okay, go straight. There. So that kind of communication barrier or language barrier makes them fear themselves to really express. And another one is if you are a foreigner and you get married to a Japanese person, they divorce you to and take your kid and blah blah. But sometimes it depends on the person that you meet and also your personal behavior with that person. Because
mhm,
I've seen several foreigners who are married to Japanese people, either men and women and female women. Um, Sometimes they don't pay respect to their culture. Japanese people love their culture so much. They respect culture so much, and you find that this person is is not accepting, the other person's culture. You know,
mm,
yeah. So there's always a crush. Like it's because he's a foreigner. He's doing this because he's a foreigner. Okay, let me just leave him to continue whatever mess he's doing because he's a foreigner. And it doesn't. As I said, they don't want to be in trouble with or argue with somebody. So they end up just leave you in your space. You want trouble? You want to shout so much? You want to play loud music? Okay, I will not bother you. I will not say anything, but it's bothering me. It's I feel like busting, but I cannot. So sometimes it's like that, and the other person doesn't know, and or sometimes doesn't want to care, or like, and they end up like, okay, you know what? Maybe it's better for us to just separate ways, and everyone continues. Yeah, so that's also creates a misunderstanding. I've been doing some, workshops at some schools, like elementary schools. Uh, you you go in a typical Japanese public school. They have never seen any foreigner in their life. They have never seen a black person in their life. Yeah, so they become excited, and sometimes they say, how does your hair look like? How it's so. But then I had a big puff. Let me touch your hair. Let me touch your hair. But yeah, let me see. Let me see. Let me touch. So and some like don't have any information about Africa. They would ask you, how do you go to school in Africa? Because that on a TV, normal TVs everywhere, worldwide, they don't show things which that home country has.
mm,
They they always show what that country doesn't have.
mm,
If it's safari, you don't expect people not to get interested in safari.
mm,
But they cannot see like okay, Tokyo is like this. Then say Kampala also has a high-rise buildings. You know, it's no brainer to show almost the same thing. You know, they want to see the difference. You know, I just
Yeah.
show a kid begging on the street, and so that's the main media street. Yeah,
Mm.
and uh, those kids or some people have grown up seeing that maybe he saw that maybe once in a lifetime, and he assumes that Africa, there's no school, there's no hospitals, there's no roads, there's no like cars. How do you go to school? By elephants, leopard, like lioness. So sometimes jokingly, I would say I used to go to school like these are koi sons like in uh, in Shaka Zulu films when I used to ride over the elephants. So that because for me also I used to see that in the films. I would say, yeah, I go to school on an elephant. I go to the next village, and they would accept that, because they don't know, So even though even after joining corporate world, some people they have never been outside Japan, you know, they has no knowledge whatsoever. Yeah. Okay. And they are so inquisitive. And once he brings a phone, maybe a computer. Okay. Okay. In Google Map, where do you say? we start from there. So I used to educate through that, and through that kind of conversations, you tell them, okay, okay, that was a joke. I don't go with the elephant to school, but this is how schools in Uganda look like. Sometimes you go on Google and show them the pictures because they have a different image, or they don't
Mm.
have any information at all. Some others think Africa is the entire country. Is
Mm.
it a mountain? Is it an animal? Is it, what's Uganda? So you need people know, but not everyone. So
Mhm.
when you meet somebody who doesn't really know about anything about Uganda or um, Africa, Spain or sure. And the good thing now, social media has really, really helped so much because so much coverage has been done. And the bad thing, sisters and brothers who came into Japan before, still took themselves as African. I'm going back to Africa, or I come from Africa. So everyone thinks whenever someone hears that repetitively,
Mhm.
thinks like you're coming from Africa. Africa is just like a small country, like maybe Vietnam or Bangladesh or whatever. So, um, but for me, when I introduce myself, I come from Uganda. You know, Uganda is found in east part of Africa. It's near Kenya because Kenya is more known to Uganda. You know, so
Okay.
if it's pictures a Uganda African map, then I understand where Kenya is located. On
Mhm.
west part of Kenya. Oh, there is a River Nile. River Nile. I thought River Nile is coming from Egypt. No, 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 no. It's coming from. So you start to educate, story by story. We
Ah.
also have, the biggest lake, Victoria. Victoria, Victoria. Oh, Nile Patch, Nile Patch. Yeah. So then the conversation starts to become deeper and deeper.
Mm.
So just little by little, you talk about Uganda and also Africa, because if we don't educate people, who will do it?
That's true. We have to be the ones to educate.
Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Wow. So have you traveled to any other Asian countries besides Japan?
Yeah, I was in China as my study abroad
Mm-hmm.
in Peking University, and I was there for a year. Then I went to Vietnam or in Laos, just travel, you know. And then I went to Taiwan as travel, you know. I went to Thailand, like maybe three times. Yeah. Now I want to go to Laos, you know. I want to go to Laos and Philippines next 1 year. Yeah.
We can't wait to see that
Yeah, yeah,
on your
yeah.
YouTube channel to film Laos and the Philippines.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. And just to help close out our
Mm.
conversation, do you have any advice for Ugandans that want to move to Japan or learn the Japanese culture?
Yeah. Okay. Uh, w- First, advice to Ugandans who like to move to Japan. Yeah, and Japan is a nice country. It's safe. You know, even sometimes when it's we joke that we book seats with our iPhones. You can go in Starbucks and leave your iPhone on table and you go in washroom and come back with being taken. If one wants to come in Japan, what does he do? Um, you can come as a tourist. You can come as a educate like a student. You know, there are so many scholarships in universities, and also you can come as a English teacher. Because if you have a good English command and you're able to really go do search for jobs that are offered in English, then you can also use that opportunity. If you want to learn about Japanese culture and language, there are so many Japanese language schools. They can give you 1 year or 2 years visa, and uh, through that experience, you can as well do volunteering, internships, and maybe part-time jobs. Then yeah, it helps you out.
No, thank you for giving that advice. You
Mm,
really shared so much information, very
mm,
good information about Japan, the
mm.
experience. I know you have a YouTube channel, so we're going to see some more videos on
Yeah,
Japan on your channel. So we can't wait to
yeah,
see things like the food, more of the culture, and your
exactly.
experience. So this has been very good. So leave a comment down below if you have any questions for Ronnie, and I'll pin a link to his channel so you can check him out. Uh, but thanks for tuning in.
Okay, thank you.